If you enjoy what you hear here today, please consider supporting me on my Patreon page. Every dollar helps, and you get to see content that you won't see here. Chapter 4. Counting the Days. Rainbow woke up on her couch feeling stiff again.
I gotta go back to sleeping on cloud beds.
But that solitary thought set off an avalanche of questions in her mind.
Do I need to buy a second bed? How long is Scootaloo staying here? How can I even take care of a filly? What about the Wonderbolts? What am I doing?
Before she could further contemplate what other life changes may or may not be heading her way, her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of tiny hooves skittering down the stairs.
Hey, Rainbow Dash, check this out!
Scootaloo said as she took a flying leap from halfway down the stairs, fluttering her wings furiously to control her descent. Unfortunately, her flapping didn't quite have the desired effect, and the filly landed awkwardly, falling headfirst and becoming a gangly mess of tangled limbs and purple mane rolling to the bottom. Rainbow hid her chuckle with a grimace as Scootaloo clumsily stood up, trying to shake off the effects of her tumble.
Ooh, easy there, Squirt. Maybe you should work on gliding a little more before you go launching yourself off of my staircase.
Scootaloo looked disappointed in her failure to impress her idol, but she quickly brightened up.
So, what are we gonna do today, Rainbow Dash?
She asked with a wide smile and impossibly optimistic eyes.
I'm not sure.
It was a Monday. Scootaloo did have school, and Rainbow was scheduled to take a shift on the weather patrol. But Rainbow also knew that if she or Scootaloo left the house, they forfeited the protection that Twilight's little stunt afforded them. Rather than deal with the possible implications of what the rest of the day might hold, Rainbow simply suggested,
how about we start by making some breakfast, eh?
The two ponies went into the kitchen and began preparing eggs as though it was just another day. About halfway through, though, they were interrupted by a knock at the door. At the sudden intrusion, Rainbow instantly tensed up and instinctively put herself between Scootaloo and the door. Cautiously, she stepped forward, letting out a sigh of relief when she looked through the peephole, only to see Twilight standing patiently in her doorway.
Hey, Twi, have you heard anything?
She asked as she opened the door. In contrast to Rainbow Dash, Twilight was anything but relieved.
Princess Celestia is coming to Ponyville. She guaranteed you and Scootaloo immunity for the day so that we can get this worked out. Oh, does this mean I have to go to school?
Scootaloo said from the kitchen.
Yeah, Scoots, you have to go to school,
came Rainbow's response.
You're not gonna make me move back in with him, are you?
Scootaloo asked as she came over and pressed herself close to Rainbow. Twilight forced a smile, trying to mask her unease at the question.
We're gonna do everything we can to prevent that.
Rainbow Dash tussled Scootaloo's mane.
Hey, don't worry, Scoots. This is me and Twi you're talking to. Between her brains and my wings, we've got this covered. Now why don't you go get back in the kitchen? The eggs are gonna burn.
Little fillies scurried away, and Twilight looked at Rainbow with anxiety written all over her face.
Rainbow Dash, Princess Celestia is coming here personally. I don't know what else I can do to protect you or her. Hey, I'm as scared as you are. But she doesn't need to know that. I guess you're right. The princess is meeting us at noon in the library. I don't think she expects this to take long. What does that mean? It means if there was ever a time for you to pull a miracle out of thin air, this would be a good time.
After a hastily scarfed down breakfast, Rainbow flew Scootaloo down to the school, and after she took her place in the room, made sure to impress on Shirley the importance of not letting Scootaloo leave with any pony except her. For her part, Shirley tried to explain to Rainbow the school's policy regarding who is allowed to take a filly out of school, but the urgency in Rainbow's voice convinced her that maybe, just this one time, she should let the policy slide. Princess Celestia wasn't scheduled to arrive in Ponyville until later in the day, so Rainbow clocked in very early for her weather patrol shift and cleared the clouds as she tried to keep herself busy. As long as she was doing stuff, her mind couldn't wander too far. Nevertheless, as she flew from cloud to cloud, she couldn't help but think about how terrified Scootaloo had looked. It felt like a lifetime ago, but it was only 2 days. Rainbow wasn't sure exactly how she was going to keep Celestia from ordering her to give back the young filly. She just knew she couldn't let Scootaloo go back. True to her reputation, Rainbow Dash was the last pony to arrive at the library at noon. When she got there, she found Twilight waiting with Princess Celestia, Lightning Strike, and a pony she didn't recognize. Scootaloo didn't talk about her parents much, but at a cursory glance, it was easy to identify the orange mare standing next to Lightning Strike as Scootaloo's mother. She had the same color coat as her daughter, and her mane was a shiny black, but she shared her daughter's purple eyes. Rainbow Dash found herself curious about what her cutie mark would be, but unfortunately she couldn't quite make it out from her vantage point. She looked worried. Whether that was because she was concerned about her daughter's well-being, or because she was standing next to Lightning Strike, Rainbow wasn't sure. Captain Strike stood to the right of Celestia, a satisfied smirk on his face, and a sinister gleam in his eye. Princess Celestia looked as regal as ever, as though it was impossible for her to be anything other than the most elegant pony in the room. Her face betrayed no emotion.
Thank you for coming, Rainbow Dash. I must say I am surprised that a family dispute has risen to the level of international diplomacy, but here we are.
Celestia spoke in a tone that she usually reserved for visiting dignitaries. It wasn't hostile, but there was a weight behind it, letting all who heard it know that the princess was indeed the mare who united all of Equestria under her rule. Those who forgot that fact did so at their own peril.
Now, first off, Twilight Sparkle, I did not induct you into the royal court so that you could use your position to make a mockery of equestrian law. Scootaloo's mother and Captain Lightning Strike and I would all like you to explain why you felt the need to create a new country inhabited by only one citizen.
Twilight kept her voice remarkably calm, even considering that she was being chastised by her mentor.
Princess Celestia, you made me a princess so that I could better protect the citizens of Equestria, and you sent me to Ponyville so I could learn about friendship. If there's one thing I've learned about friendship, it's that you stand by your friends, especially if it's hard. Rainbow Dash is my friend, and she needed my help. I'd do it again, and I'd do it 1,000 times worse if she needed me to. It's the only way I could think of to help her.
Celestia cracked the faintest smile at Twilight's explanation. It was hard to tell if she was more proud that her student stuck by her friends, or that she stood by her convictions.
You have supported your friend admirably, but Scootaloo's mother wants her daughter back, and your actions are keeping them apart. Here is what will happen. Rainbow Dash, you will abdicate your throne and dissolve your kingdom. In return, Captain Strike has agreed to drop the full napping charge and forget any of this ever happened.
Rainbow Dash shook her head solemnly.
I'm sorry. I can't do that, Princess. Not until he gets locked up.
Scootaloo's mother spoke next.
Scootaloo has had a hard time accepting my dating practices ever since her father died. I've certainly never seen lightning hit her. He wouldn't hurt a fly. I appreciate that you are trying to protect her, but she needs to come home now. Captain Strike has served with me with loyalty and distinction for many years. I owe him my life, and at the very least I owe him the benefit of the doubt. Now, you claim that he is abusing Scootaloo, but you can offer no proof. There are no hospital records to back up your story, no witnesses to the alleged crimes. I will not take a daughter from her mother based on the testimony of one filly, no matter how frightened you think she is.
Twilight spoke up.
Princess, I did a magical scan yesterday. Scootaloo had a cracked rib. If you would just let FPS conduct a full investigation...
Oh, come on. She probably got that from crashing into a tree. How much more of this horse apple do I have to put up with? Lightning Strike asked, letting his anger slip through his otherwise calm veneer. Celestia regarded Lightning Strike's outburst with a faint sense of curiosity.
I have known Twilight Sparkle for many years, and while I have known Rainbow Dash for less time, nothing in her past has indicated to me that she is anything but as honest and forthright as Princess Twilight. I do not believe they would be so adamant if they were not truly worried, and I do not believe they would be truly worried if they did not have good reason to be. I will let FPS conduct their investigation. During that time, I will allow Scootaloo to stay with Rainbow Dash, if you are still willing to care for her, that is. If not, I can arrange for her to be placed into temporary foster care.
At the mention of foster care, Rainbow Dash found herself getting defensive. Although recognizing that now was not a good time to snap at the most powerful mare in Equestria, she was able to swallow her emotions when she spoke.
No. I'd like to keep looking after her, if that's all right.
Celestia smiled warmly.
Of course it is. Now, will you please agree to dissolve your newfound kingdom? Having a territory encapsulated in Equestria creates more problems than you or Twilight are aware of.
Rainbow Dash nodded, confident that Scootaloo would be safe for the time being without diplomatic immunity. Celestia's smile was replaced with a stern frown as she turned to Lightning Strike.
Captain Strike, there appears to be enough here to warrant concern. For your sake, I hope you have not been lying to me.
Lightning Strike gritted his teeth and nodded. Scootaloo's mother turned and looked at Lightning Strike as though she was actually considering the possibility that Scootaloo had been telling the truth. A look of horror flashed on her face, only to quickly disappear.
It is settled then. Now come, Twilight. It has been too long since we shared a meal. I wish to hear all about what you have been up to since we last spoke.
Rainbow Dash quickly signed some papers that dissolved her kingdom, and Twilight grinned happily and followed Princess Celestia out the door, presumably to a local cafe. Scootaloo's mother hurried away quickly, still shaken by a possibility that she refused to let take root in her mind. Lightning Strike also left, presumably to head back in the direction of the barracks. With every pony else leaving, Rainbow Dash found herself alone. She breathed a sigh of relief. She had somehow managed to stave off disaster for at least a few days. And since she was technically done with her work for the day, she figured she'd head over to Sugar Cube Corner to bother Pinkie Pie and maybe grab a cupcake for Scoots. No sooner had she left the library than she found Lightning Strike waiting for her. The stallion glared at her with a rage she didn't know was possible. You think you've won some sort of victory today, bitch? FPS won't find anything. And when I get her back, I won't just hurt her. I'm gonna hurt that filly in ways you can't possibly imagine. Then, when I'm finished, I'm coming for you. So enjoy it while it lasts, because I'll be seeing you soon. He said in a low, ominous tone, lest any pony overhear. A wave of fear washed over Rainbow Dash as she studied the stallion in front of her. Looking at him, she became aware that this was not some crazy lunatic who she could bait into making a mistake. He was a predator, lying in wait, cloaked in shadows, and absolutely certain of his superiority. She thought back on her survival training from the Wonderbolts camp. Predators feed off of fear. If you let them know you're afraid, you're as good as dead. Rainbow steadied both her walk and her voice. She swallowed a lump in her throat as she walked up to him, again pressing her nose against his, just like the first time they met.
I'm counting the days,
she said in a tone that she prayed sounded more confident than she felt.